Hello everyone. Bonjour. Hey love lovers. So when we talk about narcissism in relationships, obviously we're talking about a behavior that is focused on self-serving, right? A person who's overly reaching for their own goals, overly, breaking boundaries for the sake of satisfying their own needs, regardless of, how their partner feels or, what their partner is going through. So, obviously, we do know about narcissism because it's been a popular topic in the recent years, and we know about it from the perspective of psychology, perspective of sociology, right? But we don't talk about it enough from the point of astrology, because there are certain aspects and certain planetary placements that cause narcissistic behavior, right? So today I'm just going to talk about one particular a placement or a trait, from the planets. And then, obviously as the time goes, as I usually do, I'll talk about it in passing, I'll mention it in passing, mentioning other aspects as well. But the most important trait when it comes to a narcissistic behavior, narcissism, and how you find it, believe it or not, it's mostly coming from exalted planets. Yes. Exalted planets, give strength, give the oomph, give the drive, but at the same time, exalted planets, they take away the humility and the humble nature of a person. They take away the need for somebody else's approval, the need for somebody else's partnership. So exalted planets, they tend to be self-serving and self-centered, right? Why? It is because at this point they are feeling at their highest level, their highest confidence in terms of being placed, right? So for an example, let's take Sun, right? Sun is multicorned, or is in the home of its place, its kingdom, its palace in the fifth house, right? And this is where it rules, this is where it's comfortable, this is where Sun becomes a comfortable king that is not amped up by external validations and all of these things. It is just focusing on doing its work and so on and so forth, all right? However, when it is placed on the ascendant, or in terms of Aries, right, or the Aries zodiac sign, this is when the Sun starts to be exalted, and at this exaltation status, the Sun is definitely focusing on itself, because it is on the position number one, numero uno, the self. Therefore it just becomes this thing that says, here I am, I'm shining for you all, look at me, worship me, take my word, I am the leader, I am number one, you cannot tell me what to do, you cannot convince me on what to do, right? I make the rules here. Why? Because Sun is also in the house of his friend Mars here, and it is facing the place of other people where it gets debilitated, right, in the 7th house. And other people to Sun, they become what? Worshippers. They become admirers, and therefore Sun does not see other people as partners or people who are here to form mutual partnerships. Sun at this point, it sees other people as just worshippers who are here to worship him, and therefore that is the job they must just do, right? So it behaves the same way in a person who has an exaltation of their Sun in the 1st house or in the Aries point, in the Aries sign. And therefore this exaltation, obviously it shows in individuals that have the Sun on the ascendant. When we talk about Sun on the ascendant, we're talking about regardless of the zodiac sign, because the ascendant will always have that foundation of the Aries sign, regardless of the Aries has moved into the 5th house, 6th house, it doesn't matter. As long as the Sun is in the 1st house, this here, it finds that foundation of exaltation. Therefore it gives this narcissistic behavior to the individual, right? Number 2, of course, in the Aries sign, depending on where it is in terms of house placement, then you'd find that in this aspect this narcissistic behavior will show the most. So for example, let's say the Aries ascendant is falling on the 10th house, you'll find out that this person will show this narcissism at the workplace, but when they're at home they're a different person. But when they come to the workplace, they become selfish, they become self-centered, they want to reach the highest level. They're going to stumble on everyone that they work with. They're going to backstab everyone that they work with. They're going to push and shove and give orders and rule and overrule, just to get the position. So wherever it's going to land, then they're going to show this narcissistic behavior, right? Because their Aries sign will always hold that point, that sign of being high or the highest in terms of level when it comes to Sun. So therefore it is the same with all the other planets in their exaltation houses, original houses, or in their exaltation signs, right? So then what does this mean in terms of relationship in a depth, in a deeper level? So let's look at that. But before I do, I have added some services on my website. One service I added it because it is by popular demand. Lots of you guys have asked me for the career option, which is definitely something that I did for you guys, because I was not ever thinking about adding it so soon due to my research, but the demand is just very high. So it is up now on my website, so for the career options. And if you want to see if you are doing the right the right work, and of course this is mostly for the young people, right? Because us as elders of the community maybe we've already found our paths, right? But there's no age. People change their careers, and the more the more you do better. So the career option is up for ordering. I have also added the posthumous analysis, which I've always done, since the beginning of my channel. I love to do it, but it's not something that is light to talk about, because when we talk about posthumous work, we're talking about death and seeing the cause of the death, and mostly it is helpful, I've found, for people who have lost their loved ones in shady ways. They're not sure if their loved one has passed on due to whatever they've been told. So they need to have their own closure, their own investigation. So that is up on the website as well. I have also added very new and very, very unique services, right? You're only going to find these services from here at Synastry Expert services. So basically I've added the custody analysis. If you are going through divorce, separation, and you are having this custody battle, and you want to know your chances of winning custody of your kids, I have that. I have gone through it thoroughly, and it's one of those unique and niche offers that are only available here. And I've also added the missing people option. Like if you know somebody who is missing, and when they have gone missing, then I am able to give you clues looking at their chart of where they could have been, who took them, what happened to them, right? So this is deep analysis work. This is tedious analysis work. This is highly sensitive work. All of these three things that I've added are highly sensitive, highly tedious, and definitely I have done all my I've prepared for this work, and because I understand that these are people that are already coming in a highly sensitive and critical points in their lives. So I have prepared that, and I am responding accordingly to the people who are coming through. And of course then is the career one, which is light stuff, light work. And so visit my website to see all the options that are available for you. And now let's continue. So now when we're talking about this narcissistic behavior in relationships, we also must remember, this is very important now. This is highly important, and I would like you guys to really give attention to this. When it comes to synastry, it is highly possible that your partner may show narcissistic behavior after they meet you. And why? Because it might happen that when, let's continue with the example of the sun. When they place their sun, right? Maybe let's say their sun is in Cancer normally, right? They have sun in Cancer, and in their own chart, their sun is placed in the 7th house, right? So this is their normal chart. It's placed in their 7th house. But when they meet you, you are the Cancer ascendant, and therefore their sun comes and attaches itself on your ascendant, therefore finding that exaltation foundation or that exaltation base, and now it triggers their narcissistic behavior in them. Right, guys? So sometimes, yes, when you talk maybe to their ex-girlfriend, ex-boyfriend, and they say, oh no, he was not like this. We don't know why he's turned like this ever since he's been with you. Only to find out that in Synastry, their sun is finding that foundation of showing the narcissistic behavior. All right, so these are the things we need to look at, or we need to be aware about or of when it comes to Synastry, that sometimes some things get triggered by the placements they find in our charts, or vice versa, right? Or even us, we get triggered to act in a certain way, to behave in a certain way, because our planets find certain positions in our partner's charts, right? And then your family now is wondering, why are you like this? Ever since you met this person, you've changed, you're behaving differently. Yes, you are, because the Synastry is powerful. Immediately when your planets attach into somebody else's chart, and with their planets as well, and vice versa, there will be a change in your life. So is it a good change? Is it a bad change? This is where the analysis comes in. This is where you need to make sure that you have a good Synastry understanding in terms of how you're relating to this person, so that if you see that there will be red flags, you can work on solutions that will combat any negative outcome or any possible dire outcome, right? Most of the time, I just want to be honest with you guys, most of the time the relationships that people get into or fall into are so distant that they can't get away from them. I give you an example. I don't like to talk about my clients, so I'm just going to give you a hypothetical example, which is similar, but I don't want to talk about my clients, so I'm just gonna make a similar hypothesis type of a vibe, just to show what I'm talking about. So let's say, for an example, there is a man, right? Let's say there's a man, and this man has a certain planet, and this planet, it causes, let's say, for example, fear. I'm just trying to change the whole story, but so that I keep my clients' details and information and data and stories very safe. So let's say this man has a certain planet which makes them have a certain fear in their life, right? I've never had a client like this, but I'm just making it up right now. And now what happens is that they talk to me, this guy, he talks to me, Mita, I have this coming up in my chart, right? And when I have this placement with this person, this comes up, right? So then I advise my hypothetical client. I say, what, okay, this is not a good one. There's a danger here, so I foresee danger, and I foresee danger quite soon, and I'm worried about your life, right? So this is me giving my professional advice, right? And then this guy says, okay, my hypothetical client says, okay, I'm just gonna let it go, right? And then 3 months or 3 years or 30 years down the line, my client comes back and my client says, Mita, I've met, somebody different now, and I'm sure I want to be married to this person. Can you look at my chart? And then I look at the chart, and then I see the same aspect that I was worried about, right? But then my client then says, you know what, I want to do this, I have to do this, this is the person, I love this person, right? And then I just give a warning that, okay, just look at this, because this is when my mind, clicked that most of the time we cannot run away from our destiny. We cannot run away from our destiny. At times, if you have to experience the most gruesome thing in your life through a partner, through a spouse, through a relationship, it doesn't matter how much knowledge you have or how much awareness you have of what would happen, right? But at some point, something will push you to ignore every warning, because that's your destiny, because that's where your soul is destined to go. Those are the experiences that you ought to experience, right? Maybe you signed, a huge contract with these types of, people that are coming into your life, so that your soul then can get to experience this particular big and scary part, in your journey. So then from there, this happened like literally at the beginning of my career in astrology. And from then I just got to understand that, wow, okay, some things we cannot avoid. Yes, we do know there will be traffic, in the road, but then we have to get out, we have to drive, we have to get to work. So there will be traffic, we know this. Okay, now we have a warning, there will be traffic, there will be rain, it's gonna rain a lot. There may be an accident for sure, okay, because the weather is not good. But we have to get outside, we have to work, we have to get to the destination. Therefore, we cannot, avoid all these things that we know are going to happen. We cannot avoid the rain. We cannot avoid the hail. We cannot avoid the hard traffic on the road. We cannot avoid the possibility of an accident, right? But we have to get outside. We have to go to work, or we have to go to this certain destination. We can't avoid it. So what do we do then? And then we start to collect solutions. Okay, if it's raining, do I have my umbrella? Do I have the right tires? Do I have my wipes, on the car? Are they working properly? Do I have this? Do I have that? Right? Okay, I'm good. Okay, there could be an accident. Do I have insurance? Do I have a first aid kit in the car? Do I have this? Do I have that? Do I have that? Right? There's gonna be traffic. Oh my gosh. Okay, I may be bored. Do I have music to keep me company? Do I have enough gas in the car so that I don't get stuck? So then you keep preparing yourself for this destination that you're going to, that you have to go to. All right. So relationships are like this. I've learned through working with or you guys with clients that some of the things are unavoidable in terms of the destiny, in terms of what you need to experience, in terms of the things you have to go through. But the synastry analysis that I give to you, it is to give you all of these warnings that this may happen, this may happen, this will happen, this will happen, this will happen. When this happens, do this. When this happens, do that. When this happens, do that, right? And then once you have your equipment, then you say, okay, I'm ready to go. I'm ready to go, right? I'll chat to you soon. Happy and ciao.